Hey, what's going on? It's Sean. So every year for my birthday, I decide to sit down and make a new self-portrait as a way to kind of like look back maybe in 50 years and see how I have changed over the years. I did that again this year, but I decided to also bring you along and create a video behind the scenes to show you exactly how I came to create this image. Let's dive in. So for this particular portrait, I decided to use my Godox SL200 Lite, and with that, I set up my 24-inch softbox. At the beginning, I was using a grid to try to give a very directional and a little bit harder of a light source, trying to deepen some shadows, but I quickly realized that that was a little too much, and it was cutting too much light, so I decided to pull the grid off of the softbox and just go with just the softbox itself. It wasn't too long and I realized that I was getting too deep of a shadow even still, and I wanted to bring in more light into my face. I didn't want to introduce a second light, so I decided instead to use bounce, and for that I used a V-flat. So I kept moving the V-flat closer and closer until I was able to get enough light on my face that I felt comfortable with the shadows. I took a couple portraits like this and realized that my shoulder was kind of disappearing into the background, and I really wanted to give some separation to that. So I went ahead and introduced a second light. In this case, it's a Yongnuo YN360 that I've had for a long time. And I just set that up on a stand in the background, just on really low power, shining right onto my shoulder, just to give that little bit of separation. From there, I also decided to add a piece of white foam core kind of underneath me just to help to bounce some of that light that was coming across back under my chin to try to bring up the shadows on some of the clothes. I usually wear black jeans and I wanted to kind of lighten them up just a little bit so they didn't go into complete darkness. And I think this achieved exactly what I was trying to do. One of the things that was different this year is that I recently switched to the Panasonic S5. And with that, I was able to use the Bluetooth built into the camera to connect to my iPhone and actually use that as a remote to trigger the shutter. This made it really nice because I didn't have to keep going back and forth to the camera and pressing the shutter and waiting for a self-timer. And it made the whole process a whole lot faster and gave me more options in the end. You can see here that I tried to get a number of different postures and positions and tried to get a couple different angles of my face. And I just continued to move and press the shutter button on the Lumix app until I felt like I had had enough. Throughout the process, I was also trying to get different focal lengths to give some different perspectives as I went through the process. I was using the Panasonic S5 with the 28 to 70 Sigma, the 2.8, and with that I continued to change it between 35, 50, and 70 to try to get a variety of looks. And here are the final images that I decided to select and edit. I used R&I's presets for HP5, which is my absolute favorite. You know, I love black and white photography. And I didn't do very many tweaks after that. I basically just added that. I added the one that has the grain because I also love the grain that comes out of Capture One. And then I hit export, and here you go. If you're interested in following along with some of the photos that I'm creating every day, you can follow me on social media at Sean P. Bruce. Or if you're interested, you can check out my website and even sign up for my newsletter at seanpbruce.com. Thanks so much for watching.